Welcome back to HTV 10, and of course now we have the Nickel State segment. Renee Piper, welcome to HTV, and introduce your guests for us, please.
Sure will. Thank you, David. And we have several guests with us tonight. We're here to talk about history and service learning, and we have some experts with us. We have Dr. Paul Wilson,
Hello.
who is a professor of history at Nichols, and he's also the interim department head for history and geography. And we have Ross Durocher, who's a Nichols student. He's a senior majoring in history, and he also works at Southdown Plantation.
That's right.
As a caretaker, is that right?
Yes.
And then on the far end down there, we have Katie Lecompte. She is the executive director of Southdown Plantation and Museum. Thank y'all for being here with us tonight.
Glad to be here.
So Paul, if you will start out by telling us a little bit about what you do at Nichols and what courses you teach.
Okay, I'm the interim department head for the past 2 years, and I'm the Mac Thomas Nolan Endowed Professor of History. My specialty is modern European history, particularly Hitler and Nazi Germany, but also modern American history. I've been involved in a couple of the Teaching American History grants that you've worked on. And this past semester, one of the courses I taught was a survey in sort of historical methods, where it's a course specifically designed for history majors to teach them the discipline of history and what historians do. And a major component of that was a service learning project. They got students like Ross here involved in working at area historical and cultural institutions to give them some experience and to give them an understanding of the importance of local history.
Can we, let me backtrack just for a minute to touch on something you said. You said the service learning project. So maybe if you could explain to the viewers out there, what exactly is service learning? Service
learning, it really depends on the discipline, where some courses, and I've seen some courses at other universities where they involve students in getting involved in the community and community projects, working at maybe some medical institutions, some of the athletic institutions for kids. Our service learning project in history, I wanted students to be directly involved in cultivating and preserving local history, and making sure that the public is aware of Nichols' involvement in promoting the study of local history. So I had about 11 students in the class, and we picked some of the area, some of the museums around this area. Southdown was one of them, the Regional Military Museum over on Barrel Street, the Home of Thibodeau Diocese Archives located on the Nichols campus, and Jean Lafitte Museum in Thibodeau. And we gave them some projects to do. We met with the directors of these institutions and discussed ways that they can get these students involved, and it's been an incredibly beneficial experience for students, for the institutions, and I think for the history program, because we're going to try to expand on that.
Absolutely. So they give back to the community while earning college credit.
That's kind of important.
Now, Paul, tell us some about some of the projects y'all did. What were some of the topics that may involve our local audience here?
One of the things we did, we had some students working at the Regional Military Museum, working with some of the oral history projects there, trying to transcribe some of the oral history projects, which brought an interesting experience from we have a student from California, and he was trying to understand some of the language of some of the Cajuns who were involved, and he had a bit of difficulty there, but he worked his way through it. And that's kind of important, transcribing those oral histories. And over at Southdown, they learned the history of the museum, they gave tours, they worked at the gift shop, and perhaps Ross and Katie would be able to better explain the activities there.
Ross?
Yeah, I think it was great because we were able to learn how to give tours there at Southdown. And I grew up in the area here, and I had never been to Southdown besides the marketplace, the craft shows that they have a couple times a year. And so it was a new experience for me, and it was great being a history major that I could actually go and learn how to give tours there and actually interact with tourists and with people who are also interested in history and coming to learn about the place. So.
Wonderful.
And I mean, it was really great for Southdown because having them there, our volunteer numbers are dwindling, and to have them there, they helped us perform functions of, every day. They were part of our daily function for, as long as they were there.
So how were the students specifically, how were they utilized at Southdown?
We trained them as docents and to work in the gift shop. So they gave tours, they greeted tourists and visitors, they handled transactions in the gift shop, and a lot of them even went above and beyond and volunteered at multiple events.
And Paul, how did this help their education historically wise?
Well, hopefully what they're going to take from this is an understanding and an appreciation for the importance of local history and preserving local history. You know, a couple of years ago I started on a project. I was working on a grant studying the shipbuilding and fabrication industries around here. And much of the study of this involved an enormous amount of lead work, going around and interviewing people and talking to people, because a lot of the history is not written down. It's stuck in someone's head. You know, so I had to go interview a number of people, and it's that sort of activity that sort of prompted me to push the history department in that direction, that there's an enormous amount of history that needs to be recorded in this area. You know, it's getting lost. People, you know, the memories fade, and people are no longer with us. And through these activities, I think we can get involved in preserving that history, recording it and preserving it.
So tell me, Katie, is the importance of maybe continuing this relationship with Nichols, with the students and the service learning projects for Southdowns? Why is that important?
Well, for us, having extra volunteers is always needed. Like I said, our volunteer base is dwindling quickly, and I think it's great to have a younger generation come in and become familiar with Southdown and maybe continue on after the project is over to volunteer. We've had a couple of students volunteer still on weekends and during events and things like that. So I think, you know, getting people who normally wouldn't have that kind of opportunity into the museum, become invested in it, it's a really great thing for the museum. And I think for the students, you know, like I said, it's good for them because they get to have experience, you know, maybe that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Well, good, Katie. Thank you for those comments. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back. We'll have more in the Nichols State segment right after these messages.
Cancer can really turn your life upside down.
But at the Cancer Center of Thibodeau Regional,
you can tell they really care about their patients.
They treated not only my cancer,
but my soul.
Our cancer program has received recognition for excellence in cancer care twice.
We treat our patients not only with the best technology, but also with the most compassionate care. Cancer can't
beat the care
at Thibodeau Regional.
The Cancer Center of Thibodeau Regional. It's not just a choice, it's your life.
They saved my life twice.
We live in a place like no other, from what we eat to the way we work. In Terrebonne Parish, we're all neighbors, so we look out for one another. And that's what South Louisiana Bank has been committed to for the past 30 years, service to the community. To all our friends and family, we just wanted to say thank you for a wonderful 30 years, because down here, the only thing we need is each other. South Louisiana Bank, our bank.
Community-minded, dedicated professionals. Bayou Home Care, doing what it takes.
At Dick Barker Incorporated, we often reminisce with customers about our 40-plus years. You see, that's something we're proud of. They often bring up Mr. Barker and Mr. Fake, and we love when they do, because tradition at Dick Barker means respect. Respect for our customers. When we flash back at our years of selling Lincolns, Mercuries, and Mazdas, some of those faces may have left us, but the values they taught us are still with us today. When we open the door at Dick Barker every day, we know that those who paved the way would be proud of how we still respect our customers. Sure, anyone can sell a car, but at Dick Barker Incorporated, we like to show you some respect and good service to go along with it. An old-fashioned way in a new fast-paced world. Now that's refreshing. Dick Barker Incorporated, over 40 years respecting you.
Unforgettable events, magical, extraordinary. Royal Palm receptions are a vision of perfection and fabulous views. All of your wedding events are custom designed for you. We offer an unmatched level of sophistication in culinary artistry, raising the bar on the dreams you've always wanted. For events from 25 to 400 guests, contact Royal Palm Restaurant and Banquets in Fountain Park Center, 1901 Manhattan Boulevard.
Welcome back to HTV. We're in our Nichols State segment. Renee Piper. We can continue with our interview of Dr. Paul Leslie.
Yeah, we'll jump right back in. Dr. Leslie, Dr.
Paul
Wilson.
I'm sorry.
We were talking about
I
Paul
do
Leslie
apologize.
in the break. Paul.
I don't know if that's a compliment or a put down.
Depends on your political perspective.
Well, let's get back to our questions and step aside from that. Tell us about the plans for service learning, the future plans for history and service learning in the community.
Well, we're going to continue these projects with Southdown and the Regional Military Museum, which is going to expand now so they can use some assistance. And we'd like to, we have students, since we have students from a variety of different parishes that come to Nichols, we're going to look for institutions within Assumption Parish or St. Mary. You know, there's the Morgan City Archives. I had a student who was from the North Shore, and we were setting up a program for him to work at the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Maritime Museum in Madisonville, which is a place where I've done some research for my shipbuilding study. So we're going to try to expand it, and we're also going to try to begin writing some local histories of maybe some business history, some family histories. At Nichols, one of our professors, Dr. Steve Michaud, and in history, and the biology professor, John Ducey, they have an edited volume of the Lafourche Country, which is a compendium of various historical studies of people, places, events in Lafourche. And one of the things I'd like to do is expand that to some of the neighboring parishes that serve Nichols State and that Nichols serves. I think it's important for this region to understand and learn and know its history. And I think they'll even have a greater, I mean, people already appreciate this region. They'll even appreciate it more.
And you're right, it's the history that is captured in people's memories that we really do need to write down so that it's not lost.
And a lot of the people I talked to didn't even realize that they had history in their heads, that the knowledge, the memories they had, the experiences they had were important and reveal a great deal about this community and the people here and the development of business and industry and the culture that emerges. So there's a lot of history out there, and hopefully we can begin writing it down.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Katie, tell us about, we've talked about the Nichols students doing service learning projects at Southdowns. How can people volunteer? What type of volunteers do you need at Southdowns?
Well, like I said earlier, volunteers are very important to Southdown. Our tours and gift shop is completely run by volunteers. So it takes a lot of people on a lot of different days. Our volunteers, they can give tours, they can work in the gift shop, and they can work special events. You know, if you can come during the week, that's great, but we know a lot of people work and can't. So we do have a lot of, you know, afternoon activities and also weekend events, and also, you know, come help Ross give tours on Saturdays. But, you know, you can always call the museum, go to our website, we have an email address, you know. You can even just stop by to see what it's like, you know, try it out, you know. And we, you know, you don't have to volunteer so many times a month. You know, a couple of times a year even is really helpful.
Wonderful. And at the end, we'll give that phone number so folks can get ready if they want to jot that down so that they can call and get more information on that. So Ross, tell me, just from your personal perspective, why is it important for history students in particular to get involved and give back in a service learning type way to local organizations?
I think it helps bring history to life. You know, it's one thing to read about history and to learn it in a classroom environment, but to really actually be able to get out there and experience it, and experience these places that are unique to the local culture, and actually be able to participate and be a part of that is a unique experience.
Now, Paul, how long has Nichols been a part of service learning in the history department? I mean, I'm a history graduate from Nichols State, and we didn't do that back when I finished in 19 whatever. We're not going to say those days, but how long have y'all been doing these type of things?
Actually, for about the the past decade, we've had sort of a service learning class. We have an internship at Laurel
So 11
Valley.
years ago when I graduated.
Just after you finished, apparently we decided to start
I
something.
just missed it.
But Dr. Leslie, you mentioned him earlier. He runs an internship program at Laurel Valley, which is the local sugar plantation in Thibodaux. And it's a 6-hour internship for our history majors, and that's been going on for about the past decade. And it's very popular with the students. And this past semester, a number of the students wrote little biographies of individuals families who grew up in Thibodaux and nearby Thibodaux, and some histories of Lafourche Parish. So they're very much involved in cataloging the history of this region. So, the service learning projects, you can look at some of these at other universities, and they get students involved in community service. Sometimes they just have students go out and rake leaves and clean up things. We actually want students to do more than that. We want them to preserve and be active in their fields, preserve history, study history, and get involved.
And it's probably a great resume booster as well.
Oh, yeah,
You're out there
sure.
getting hands-on experience, learning about something you love, history,
Right.
and building your resume all at the same time.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We had a great bunch of students in that seminar and history class that had the service learning programs. They jumped at the chance to get involved in these activities.
Now, what types of jobs, Dr. Wilson, do your graduates go on to pursue careers in?
Many of the graduates of Nichols end up in the K-12 system. They get history degrees, and a lot of them go and go through alternate certification. Some of them go on to grad school. Ross is going to go on to grad school, I think, in art history.
Right.
And they go on to grad school and work towards a PhD and teach at the university level. A number of our graduates work in museums. With a history degree, you can work for the federal government. You can work for the state and local government. And I remember I had 3 friends of mine when I was in grad school. They were working on master's degrees, and once they finished their master's degrees, they got snapped up to become analysts in some of our intelligence agencies in and around D.C. So there's a number of opportunities. Yeah, history majors are involved in a variety of different activities, not just teaching. So.
Well, good. We're going to take our final break right now. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with Nichols State University's History Department right here on HTV 10.
Thousands of children each year are abducted. Millions of children are overweight and unhealthy. I'm Sherry Champagne, owner of TKO Kickboxing Gym, and I'm making a difference one child at a time. TKO focused on building confidence, teaching kickboxing, self-defense, and health and fitness for all children. TKO also offers a unique Vic Kids child care. For more information, call, come by, or visit our website.
Come experience the luxury and performance of the new Cadillac models at Trapp Cadillac Chevrolet in Houma. We're expanding with a new and exclusive Cadillac facility. And right now, take advantage of a great selection of Cadillac models in stock, including the Cadillac CTS, CTS Sport Wagon, Escalade, Escalade ESV, the SRX Crossover, and the all-new Cadillac CTS-V, the world's fastest production sedan. Experience the best. Experience Cadillac at Trapp.
I saw a fire truck at a parade and I said, this is pretty cool. So I bought one. I'm Bill O'Quinn and I was treated for prostate cancer at Mary Bird Perkins in 2005. I'm a retired Prudential insurance executive, and with the coverage that they provided, I could have gone anywhere for treatment. I got a tour and I was incredibly impressed. Mary Bird Perkins not only has the best technology, but it's right down the street. So why would you go anyplace else?
Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center at TGMC.
What are we having for lunch?
The 10-piece combo, half regular, half boneless, original hot with fresh cut seasoned fries, homemade ranch, and a nice cold Coke. How about you?
New glider sandwiches.
The what?
New glider sandwiches. Perfectly delicious fillets of 100% white meat, sauced in my choice of 9 mouth-watering flavors, served on a freshly baked yeast roll.
I'll have what she's having.
The new glider sandwiches, only at Wingstop.
Hi, I'm Tony DeSalvo with a quick cooking tip from Canadas in the Kitchen. Summer's a great time for steaks, but one of the most important steps is what you do with them after you take them off the grill. Let them rest at least 5 minutes prior to serving, and I promise you'll get a juicy steak every time. And this week we've got certified Angus beef porterhouse steaks for just $6.37 a pound. So watch a new episode with Canadas in the Kitchen every Tuesday night on HTV, or join us online at canadasmarket.com. Canadas, a cut above.
Put together a crew of top specialists, and you can do amazing things. Cardiac care at TGMC. It all begins here.
Welcome back to HTV 10, and this question will go to Ross or Katie, whomever wants to chime in first.
Sure.
What is the historical significance of Southdown Plantation?
I'll answer this. Not only is it a well-preserved plantation house from prior to the Civil War, but it's also, the museum is dedicated to the local culture and history of Terrebonne Parish. So it's more than just a plantation house with furniture, and it's a unique part of the culture of the parish.
And Paul, we spoke about earlier, what are some of the other initiatives of the History Department here at Nichols?
For a decade or so, we've been involved in with local schools and helping to prepare teachers in certain areas of history. You worked on a Teaching American History grant, which is this national initiative to encourage history teachers to study American history more deeply so their students can become more knowledgeable about our past. And I've worked on a couple of those grants. I did my first grant, though, with area teachers, was on a Holocaust grant. Mm-hmm. And that happened about a decade ago as well, and it went really well. A lot of the teachers are eager and are interested in taking history courses, so they get a balance when they take these with education and with history.
Well, great. Thank you, Paul. If anybody wants to contact the History Department, how do they do that? They
can call the office at 448-4610, or check us out on the web. Nichols.edu, history.
Very good.
Thank y'all for coming in. We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Good night, everybody, from us here at HTV.